a fucking shotgun, bro. This guy with this.
Hey, bro, if you want the shotgun, you a bitch.
Shut the fuck up, I'm not.
Welcome back, Vaqueros, and today's video is going to be all about this weird, quirky gun known as the Einhorn Revolving Shotgun. It has been a shotgun that I myself have written off for so long, I just never really liked it until recently when I really understood what it was about and how to actually kit it out well, and why it reminds me so much of the VLK Rogue in some ways. So let's just get into the video and why I think you should give this gun a try. Now, why does it remind me of the VLK Rogue? You might be wondering this yourself. Really, it's because of the damage and the two-shot potential and sort of the mobility that you have with this thing, because the real trick to this thing is staying up close and being able to get your two-shot kill, or maybe sometimes three-shot, and then getting the hell out of dodge. Now, there's a few ways to make this happen, so we have to kit this thing out right. First of all, the most important way to run this gun is by using the 12 gauge ammo type. This is extremely important for this build because if you do not, you will not be able to get any two-shot kills with this gun in its max damage range or anything unless you're hitting headshots, which is seriously impractical for this type of gun. It's already quirky and awkward to handle, so you don't want to throw that in the mix. But with 12 gauge, the body multipliers increase. You do about 38 damage per pellet, and that enables you to get two-shot body shots. So the only way to get a two-shot body shot with this gun is to use the 12 gauge ammo type. So I can't stress that enough. I know it's super tempting to use the giant 12 round magazine cylinder drum thing that it comes with, but honestly it's just not as practical damage wise as using 12 gauge. So I highly recommend you use 12 gauge, and we'll talk about ranges and stuff too so you can see why. So when we take a look at the ranges, we have about 0 to 4.1 meters, and in that max damage range you can actually two-shot body shot with 12 gauge. And by the way, 12 gauge doesn't increase your range with this gun. I've checked before, so it seems to be about 4.1 regardless of if it's 16 gauge or 12 gauge. Just don't use birdshot. Birdshot is absolute crap on this gun. I do not recommend it. So out to about 4.1 meters, you're going to get two-shot body shots. From about 4.1 to 5.6, you get 3 shots. From 5.6 to about 10 meters, that's going to be a 4-shot kill. And then outside of that, out to about the 20-meter mark, is going to be a 5-shot kill. So you really want to be up close and getting 2 to 3 shot kills. And especially since you only have 6 rounds, you really got to make sure these shots count. One of the other things about this gun that really reminds me of the VLK Rogue is the rate of fire, because with 12 gauge equipped, which is the ammo type I recommend, of course, you do lose some fire rate potential. So it goes from about 150 rounds per minute to 136, but that is basically on par with what the VLK Rogue was. So your 2-shot time to kill is going to be about 440 milliseconds, which is great. That is amazing. It's not like insanity type fast like slugs on some of these guns, but it is very good, and it's definitely going to kill faster than some SMGs up close, which is really cool. But of course, the limiting factor is that range. And of course, you're going to get some 3-shot kills. If you do get a 3-shot kill, it's going to be about 880 milliseconds. So if you don't kill in those 2 shots, you better be around cover or running around, because you're going to die. SMGs will mow you down. Some ARs will mow you down. You're going to get absolutely slaughtered. So you got to make sure you can get those 2-shot kills consistently, which I know is very tough for this gun sometimes, because if you don't hit those 4 pellets, you know, you have to hit 4 pellets to get max damage. If they don't all connect and you only hit 3, you're not going to be getting a 2-shot kill. It has to be 4 pellets connecting both shots that you take, and then you can get a 2-shot kill. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Now, when we talk barrels, really, in my opinion, the best barrel to run is going to be that big Clouser 710mm barrel. This one is the one that gives you the best range, and it's actually pretty asinine how much it gives you. It's about 40% more range, which for a barrel, that's really a lot more range for a shotgun like this. So it takes your max damage range up to about 5.7 from 4.1. So as you can see, that's a big difference. And that basically means you have a 2-shot of about 5.7 meters, which is actually better than the combat shotgun. And it actually harkens back to how the VLK Rogue was before its nerf. It was around that kind of 7-meter mark. Well, this is basically that kind of range. It's not as good, obviously, but it kind of harkens back to it. So I like it a lot. We do have a rapid fire barrel that increases the rate of fire. And yes, it is kind of handy, but I personally don't recommend it, simply because it hurts your range so much. It just makes it to where, well, you'd get a 3-shot anyway, and yes, you shoot faster, but the time to kill is going to be a little bit slower. I just do not recommend it. You can try it out, but I seriously recommend just going for those 2-shot kills, and it's going to be a lot better in my opinion, and probably a lot more consistent too. Rapid fire barrel, usually my go-to for these type of guns, but for this one in particular, I go for range and I try to get those 2-shot kills and treat it sort of like a weird semi/pump action shotgun like the VLK Rogue. So before I go into my sort of best class, quote unquote, for this gun, I want to talk about how to play with it because it can be a little challenging. This is such a weird and quirky and awkward gun to handle, and that's one of the reasons I didn't like it much, but it took a while to kind of get used to it, and I'm getting better at it, but it's still super weird because it sort of feels like a semi-auto. You sort of go into engagements thinking you can kind of spray and pray like a Gallo or a Street Sweeper, but it really isn't going to work like that because it doesn't shoot just as fast as those guns do. So you kind of have to use it sort of like a pump action, or like how you did with the VLK Rogue, where in some situations you can kind of spray and pray. Not really spray, it's not that fast, but you can kind of just go balls to the wall and get your 2 shots and get the hell out. But in my opinion, it's going to take a little bit more finesse where you can kind of aim down sights, get that nice tight pellet spread and get your 2 shots in, and then kind of get out as fast as you can, play around cover. That tends to be how I do best with this thing, but it's just so hard to fight that urge to spam away with this gun. I know, trust me, I've been there so many times and it always gets me killed because of that fire rate. And of course, I recommend aiming down sights. Hip firing can be a little inconsistent, and since you have to hit 4 pellets for both of those shots, I really recommend aiming down sights as much as you can within reason. As for my best class setup, I recommend using the full choke, the Clouser 710mm barrel. That's going to give you the best range. The medium iron sights or the large both give you aim down sight speed, so either of those work. The VDD Hunter I use because of the aim down sight speed bonus as well as sprint to fire. Then we have sleight of hand over gung ho in my opinion, but gung ho is also good. Then we have quick. The tape grip is important because of the movement speed bonus it gives you. The 12 gauge round ammo is, in my opinion, the best way to go. And then I use the M1915 steady grip for the best hip fire accuracy out of all of those grips because it does give you the best bonus to hip fire accuracy more than the other grips in this category. Then for ammo type, I'm going to be honest, I don't recommend using one. I feel like all of them are kind of inconsistent. Incendiary is sort of weaker and kind of feels inconsistent. 12 gauge buck and slug is really hard to use and doesn't really give you much more stopping power. And all the other ones are just kind of quirky and weird. You could use pack powder maybe, but I like my faster fire rate. So honestly, I just recommend don't running an ammo type. That's really it. But you can experiment here if you want. Just know this is probably still the best way to go, at least in my opinion. As for my thoughts on the shotgun, I'm going to admit I think that this is a kind of underrated shotgun, to be honest with you, and that's partly my fault because I think a lot of people know that I've written this gun off, and I'll admit it, I kind of wrote it off in the past quite a bit. But it wasn't until I kind of got past its weird and quirky and unorthodox ways that I actually started to see there's some potential in here. But yes, it is very weird, it's very quirky, it's just kind of this awkward gun to handle. Like I said, it's sort of a spammier feeling shotgun, but it's not that fast when it shoots. So it kind of tricks you into thinking, hey, I should be spamming this gun, but you really shouldn't. So it's kind of a weird gun to get the hang of, and I recommend aiming down sights because aiming down sights really helps. But once you get the hang of it and kind of get the feel for it and you're getting those 2-shot kills, it's pretty nasty. It can actually drop some people pretty hard. And yeah, you can get some 3-shot kills too, but the real secret to this is getting that 12 gauge ammo and just getting those really long range, well, you know, those quote unquote long range 2-shot kills at about like 5.5 meters and dropping people in 2 shots. So that's all for this video, guys. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this shotgun? What do you think about the ammo types? Do you rock an ammo type for this gun? Are there any other classes you recommend for it? And with all that being said, I will see you in the next video.
This guy with this